What's going on, everybody? This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing. I hope you're all doing well. It's Monday. Great to see you all in here this morning. Feels really good to be with y'all. Markets are really holding up nicely. We're going to take a look at that right now. We're going to take a look at to see. I have not been through the FX pairs this morning. I am looking to see the state of the market. Right? Holding a couple of positions for a while now, but looking to see the state of the market, looking to see what waves are coming in and if any waves are coming in. That's really my main focus. Setting up definitely for what's going to be taking place obviously later in the week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Important session ahead of us. By the way, I did want to just highlight over here. This weekend, there were some nice comments shared, and the comments were just of people, right, still holding on my S&P long. He's profiting the June highs. Well, here we are, right? We are really close here to challenging the June highs right over here. Beautiful trade. A lot of traders are on the right side of the markets and have been. You can see over here. Well, this was cool. Adam was posting. By the way, Adam was posting that he's in Chainlink, Ethereum, Litecoin, Bitcoin, gold, and silver. Definitely an awesome portfolio. Andre saying that his strategy for next week is don't sell his Tesla. He's long Tesla. Wow. And listen to Jordan's live CMHJ. Thank you, Andre. Appreciate that. Looking for further upside on the Euro US dollar. ECB is meeting this week on Thursday. We have the ECB policy statement followed by the press conference. That's pretty exciting. We'll watch out what's going on over there as the euro continues to be firm off of the weaker dollar. And we'll look at the dollar in just a moment together. I'm looking there for the chart of the Euro US dollar. It's getting ready here. You could see challenging the resistance over here. That's a line that goes back 5 years, right? And what's important about it, a breakout above could lead to a really significant move, another leg up. So we're going to be looking at that. And then there was also some other good trades, right? Another one, Peter saying that he's been long on the S&Ps. enjoying that over there. Shane, thank you for that. That was the video I put out on Saturday night. I just wanted, I had spent the whole day with the family. I wanted that to continue. That was a tough one. 2 trades from last week: long gold. A lot of people are long gold, long silver, and the Australian dollar, Japanese yen hung in there through that slight pullback. Thanks for the guidance on the precious metals. I have profitable positions established: gold, silver, since the early pullbacks. All right, so a lot of people on the right side of the market. I like that a lot, and let's keep ourselves there. So what's happening now on the S&P is as we're looking to test the resistance over here at 32. That's the high from June, and it's earnings week, right? Earnings season's beginning over here, and the earnings are expected to be atrocious. So to me, it's kind of like the jobs numbers, right? That's the market's already aware of that. So any type of guidance going forward from here that's even remotely better, well, the market's going to see that as a positive. I continue to be having this risk on bias because the market is really think about what's happened. Well, recently, the last month, the markets really has shaken off these rising COVID numbers on a regular basis, right? Even with debt's increasing, it's shaking it all off. It's shaking off the China-U.S. tensions. Why? Because the Fed is printed. There's a lot of money in there. This inflates asset prices. Stocks go up. So until they're crashing, I am assuming they're going up from here. And if they're crashing, right? Do we need to look for the markets to be crashing right now? Let's see. Well, I mean, they seem to just be going up, right? Not that they're going to go up forever, but they're definitely not crashing or close to it. This, right, which was a pretty significant pullback. We were here to buy off the support, right? I took only this trade right here. I got out so early on this just because I had tried shorting in multiple places throughout the month of May, and this trade just got me back even. I think I should have obviously been pushing that trade longer, but we all obviously make mistakes all the time. Now we were leaning into this support over here. We traded this to the downside and then up over here, and we maintained that risk on bias until the market shows us different. Will this week be that? I don't know. We'll see. Nasdaq also over here it's just look at this, right? So could it go up forever? Listen, there's a lot of money that's not involved over here. We talk about the signs of tops, and you look at look at the Robinhood investors and, my 18-year-old nephew all involved in the stock market right now. Yeah, when those people are making insane returns, then that will be the top of the bubble, right? But those people are just getting started investing. They've been investing for a few months. Wait until you start hearing about some really, truly insane day trader stories. I remember Chris, the guy that's appeared on Shark Tank, the investor from Silicon Valley. He's invested in Airbnb and a couple other things. Chris something or other. He back in when he was in college during the dot-com bubble, he turned like a couple of $1,000s into $7 million and then lost it all. Like those type of stories. That's not happening yet. We're not close. The Fed's balance sheet isn't dropping. As a result of them tightening. There's no tightening going on. What's happening? That's the swap lines being paid back. That's just the swap lines being paid back. So the Fed is wound down its purchases, which were just absolutely insane, to about $3 to $5 billion a day. But that's still a lot of money. That's still a lot of money coming into the markets. When the Nasdaq makes new highs, how do you find resistance? When an instrument is making all-time highs, you're not looking for resistance above. There is no resistance above, right? There is no resistance above. So what you're waiting to happen is for the market to pull back, start establishing some new local support, right? And then on the upside, also resistance until you have some new support and resistance to work off of. But in the beginning, there's no resistance up there. All right, so Here, let's look at the dollar. Let's look at the dollar, which is slightly off today into this area that we have marked at local support at 96.47. The dollar remains weak. We looked at this really well over the weekend. The dollar remains weak, and that session wasn't easy. Again, that's Saturday night, but I wanted to get that out to you on Sunday for those who are looking going into next week for to start getting into that rhythm of the trading. When we're looking over here at the resistance over here, below that, we continue to expect that weaker softening dollar, and also looking for another leg down into at least 95.20. That's really what we're looking for next. Above this level, that gets a little worrisome because this was a pretty nice rejection. Trading back above it, that leads me to believe that not only do we challenge 98.30, but there's probably a good chance that we break above 98.30. That's obviously not what I see happening, but that's the other side of the trade that I'm watching out for. Gold, looking good over here. Right? Holding that 1800 very well. Silver's the real story. Really now playing catch up. We'll look at that. And that was our plan. Our plan was that gold will do the hard work to 1800, and then we were going to see silver outperform. It's exactly what we were looking for. Buying and continue to buy off of any pullbacks into support on gold and silver. It's not too late to establish a position on either one of them. We're even close to it. As in Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin, you have until $20,000-$30,000, in my opinion, to be looking to establish and continue to establish a position. It's still cheap. Same thing here on gold. You have to feel comfortable, in my opinion, continuing to accumulate, especially why gold and silver. Copper is the real story. This was I deleted the comment. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick. It was Will, and Will said, yeah, he was, apart from FX, he was long on copper, right? And if you look at copper, look at this chart of copper. By the way, we looked at gold to silver ratio going into a crisis, and there will be another crisis. And what a good trade it is to be long gold versus silver, right? That makes all the sense in the world. It seems, right, look at this, copper. And the first thing I did was go back to 2008, the last crisis and the last time QE started. And here was copper again in a free fall. And copper went from, call it $1.30 all the way up to $4.50 over the next few years. And you could see again, copper really doing the same exact thing. Interesting. I mean, I'm glad Will's involved in that. I'll tell you that much. And it's interesting for me to see markets acting like that, even though I don't trade copper. It's fascinating to me. Let's look at silver, right? Silver trading 1920, testing or getting ready to test the yearly high over here. Oh, I'm sorry, you say yearly high. The high put in last year, September 2019, when silver traded all the way up to 1958. So it looks like that might be the next stop on silver. And obviously, the gold to silver ratio continues to perform in silver's direction. And that's a trade that I expect to continue outside of another crisis developing. If another crisis developing, obviously you would need to go ahead and reverse that. Let's look at, before we get into some FX, let's look at Bitcoin over here. Bitcoin just continues to hold that 9,000 level, huh? It's so funny because if you talk about correlation and you go down from over here in the June 15th low to where Bitcoin is now, it's about a gain of about what is that? 6%. Let me make sure. 5.5%, right? And then you look at the S&P and what it's done in the same exact time frame over there. And so that was June the 14th. And the S&P is up 9.3. So I don't know, the correlation to Bitcoin and the S&P is kind of broken over there because if Bitcoin is a risk asset, that when the S&P is trading up, you expect Bitcoin to outperform the equity markets by an extraordinarily margin. Look at the last price data over the last 10 years, right? So interesting that Bitcoin is right now lagging. The Bitcoin difficulty adjustment today went up to a new all-time high. That means that right now the Bitcoin network is more secure than it's ever been. The most amount of hash rate is the highest. Bitcoin network is the securest it's ever been. Normally, as the difficulty adjustment goes up, then the price does follow. Out of the halving, by the way, there was this 18, 19% pullback directly after the halving. That, I mean, as that happened and as we bought into that, I said, and I still believe that was the pullback, because we had pulled back so far going into the halving, right? And here we are, it's not doing anything exciting as it continues to consolidate, but this is your opportunity to be accumulating right now. Why money is chasing other assets, that's all well and good, but understand what's to come here on Bitcoin, or at least how I'm preparing myself. Let's get into the FX right now. We have about 15 minutes to the U.S. equity markets open. By the way, Andre said that he was in Tesla and holding that. And look at that. That's awesome, right? That's awesome. Nice to see that. And are we going to see more of that? I mean, Tesla is Tesla. Are we going to start seeing like fly? I don't even know what you call them. Like little rinky-dink companies with no business all of a sudden start doing similar. Then we're at the peak of the bubble, right? Pets.com. So here we go. Is Tesla way off any support? Yeah, totally. Right? The last two times to buy Tesla was this was sell Tesla. This was sell Tesla, take profits. And if we got back above this resistance and pulled back and resumed off, buy Tesla. This was a place to add to Tesla, But over here, right? Are you still looking for legs up on Tesla? Well, that would mean then you need some type of consolidation, right? Some type of consolidation, which here's on the 3 there's been none. Like give it time. It's going to pull back. It's not going straight up. And those that are in it and riding it, so many people are involved in so many good areas that it's exciting to see. One of those is Ethereum. A lot of people right now are trading Ethereum. Let's take a look at it right now as Ethereum has held. It was great to hear over the weekend on Saturday, a couple of people were noting that they had bought off Tezos as it pulled back into support, and now that had went very, very nicely 5% I believe into profit, and I was happy to see a couple of people focusing their attention over there, because over the weekends FX is closed, crypto markets are open, right? Over here, next time Ethereum pulled into this 215 support over here, right? This was the opportunity to lean in buy. You're into resistance right now. Does it look like Ethereum takes out 248? Well, I'll tell you, I think it's only a matter of time. Crypto's about to enter an explosive bull market. It really hasn't begun, right? So this is the time to be looking to get positioned. And what about Ripple? I know we haven't gotten into the FX yet. We will, but I want to take a look at what's going on over here. Look at Ripple this morning, coming off of this support over here. That's the thing about what we do learn over here, right? That's the thing about what we learn over here is it's effective in any market whatsoever. That's the beauty of it, because it's support and resistance. That's just how the market. It's how the market structure works. You could see over here, Ripple nicely resuming off of this area of support. And I assume that it's going to be targeting this resistance over here, somewhere around 0.218 on this impulse up. We'll see what happens as it comes into that resistance, whether or not it gets rejected off there to consolidate further, or it is able to burst through over there. Linked was the one that people were buying. No, Tezos, right? Off of this support over here. See the break of the support, the pullback into the support, confirm it into the broken resistance, confirm it as support, and then the resumption off. It's beautiful to see. And crypto, when it's trading nicely, it trades so technical. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. Here's Link, right? So we're in a bull market now. I said a long time ago that as we entered the bull market in crypto, we would start paying more attention to where the opportunities are, right? We're now on that verge of really, this is Lincoln's up 7% today. Look at that. And there you go. You had the broken resistance, price pulled back into that, confirming it as support. Boom. All right. So I don't know. Are any of you guys trading crypto? Is anyone here that follows along? Well, yeah, you guys do. You let me know about your Ethereum. Litecoin is a big one that I've seen a lot of people right now are stepping up their Litecoin purchases. I don't know if that's a play on possibly the implementation of Mimblewimble and some privacy features into Litecoin. If that happens, then Litecoin all of a sudden has basically a better, or is it better than Monero? Monero right now is a privacy coin that enables you to transact, because Bitcoin is not private whatsoever. Bitcoin is a public ledger. That's what Bitcoin is. Monero is all private, right? Look at that. That looks like it's getting ready to break out. 69. That thing is going to be targeting up around 100. I mean, listen. Wow, crypto. It's so funny. I didn't plan on looking at any of these altcoins today, but there's my spidey senses. My spidey senses are alive as we're about to enter that. And what a great day it is for crypto. Again, Bitcoin difficulty adjustment rising today. All right, so Euro US dollar we looked at earlier over here, and we saw that it was breaking this resistance. And here's the test day today, right, to see whether or not we're able to get a break out of this resistance, right? The next test is up here at the whole number 1.14, and we'll see what happens, right? It's not always straight up, straight down. If we're able to hold this breakout over here, the next thing you're waiting for is price to test up there, then that pullback, confirm that broken trend line as support, and enter as price resumes up. And or you've already entered over here, right? As you pulled back into this area of support at the resumption off, that obviously is a good entry. Australian dollar, US dollar. If you miss the run up on the S&P, get the next bull. And the S&P, I think, is going higher. And it's just what I believe and continue to believe. But what's the better trade, right? What's the better trade? I mean, risk to reward basis. In my opinion, there's nothing that comes close when it comes to Bitcoin right now. And again, can you imagine buying Bitcoin back in 2013? That was a lot riskier. Today, you have some giants like Fidelity Investments who are 100% building their business around Bitcoin, as well as some public companies. Boom. Chainlink. What is Chainlink's use case? By the way, we've been so the spidey senses. You guys all know I don't really follow altcoins, and I put these on my watch list months ago, and I said in the bull market, this is what's going to lead, in my opinion. And it was going to be Tezos, it was going to be Link, and it was going to be Monero, and and Litecoin I have up here as well. Ripple, I don't like it at all. I think it's a scam, but I think it's going to rip. And then we have Ethereum and Bitcoin. It's kind of my watch list of the crypto universe. And Link, I'm trying to understand its use case. Chainlink, I believe it's like the future of I forgot the term, but with everything being connected, and like your car speaking to your, I don't know why your car needs to speak to your fridge, but it's all these connected devices. Does your car need to speak to your fridge for real? Google. is looking like a sweet spot on the support. Yeah, let's take a look at it. Let's take a look at it. Funny enough, see, I'm a little biased. I'm going to explain that really quick as I look at my stock watch list, which includes Apple, Amazon, Netflix, Tesla, Zoom, Square, right? So I noticed that Google's not up there or Facebook, and you ask why. It's because both those companies, I believe, are just an enormous violation of human rights, privacy, right? So let's take a look. Whatchamacallit? As far as support here on Google, I mean, this is nice for tech here, huh? This is nice here as you're getting this breakout. As far as support, that's the new support. You're getting the breakout right over there, 1530, right? So you're looking for some type of it doesn't have to be a pullback into 1530. Either you're going to get over here a successful breakout, which means that price will retrace, pull back, consolidate, and then continue to make legs higher, or you'll see a big wick over here and a rejection of this resistance and price, being rejected up here. Right now, it appears we have a nice breakout, and this could last anywhere from today for a few days before we have any type of consolidation worth repositioning yourself into. So it's the same thing on every market. It's just the way it is. U.S. equity markets are getting ready to open over here. Watch the open. I think the open, and it's way more important for any time. Thanks for that. Thanks for that show of love. Thanks everyone already who's gone here this morning. Thanks for being here. First of all, I got so happy when I saw everyone coming in saying good morning and hi, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to share this community with you all. And those that have gone ahead and already hit that like button this morning, thanks for showing the love. Thanks for supporting me in the channel. I do appreciate that very much. So we'll be watching the price action over here on the S&P 500 as it comes up. This was our target, right? 3,200. And if we said we got to 3,200, then we're looking at what happens if we're able to break above this resistance or not. So right now, as you're hitting the target, like, you should be taking profit with the expectation that this is going to break higher. And when it breaks higher, you're looking to get back in. Now, what that similar situation here on Tesla that many of you remember, and it's this area right here. Like, this was the area as price broke this trend line and showed that it was possibly breaking down, was the place to take profit. And as that was happening, we said, but then if we break above the resistance, confirm that support, then you have to get long Tesla. It's going to be challenging the all-time highs and probably then breaking them. You could see as it broke to new all-time highs, what does it do? Well, it pulls back and confirms that breakout, right? It's now new support, that blue line. It confirms it as new support, and then, tested it again, but this time made a higher low. Very, very bullish price action over here, and as boom, beautiful. Here we go. 2 minutes. U.S. equity markets are open. I want to look. Are we looking so much at stocks today because there's not much happening on FX? Nope. So good question. But we're gonna go right into FX right now. I really want to see what's going on. Well, I don't know why we got into those altcoins and why we got into stocks, but that's not that. There was just a little bit of an excursion here Monday as we get that picture of what's going on in the markets. But I wanted to start with the US dollar Mexican peso, right? And, I've been looking at this more as a position trade. And what I'm looking at here is if the US equity markets are going to continue to rise, we see this risk on environment. This should really actually help the peso. That weaker dollar that I'm seeing until I see signs of dollar strengthening right now is I'm looking for actually further dollar weakness. I'm talking about like at least a 6-month horizon here. So, positioning into the Mexican peso versus the US dollar. And mind you, it's not 1 + 1 = 2 because the Mexican economy is atrocious, right? Atrocious. I don't know if it's true. I heard their president flew to the U.S. last week for a meeting with the president, and then he fly commercial that he flew Delta. So, things are not good over there, but that doesn't matter. That's not really how the markets work. What we're seeing over here is this risk on environment. Peso pays a nice swamp against the dollar. That's a carry trade that was taking place over here as the markets were making new all-time highs. You were seeing everyone flowing in to the carry trade of the peso versus the dollar because it pays that nice premium. And then, as far as emerging markets go, Mexico is Mexico. It's a little more stable than, for example, you've seen what happened this year to the Brazilian real. But nevertheless, if we're going back into this extended environment and we're just beginning to see the inflation of asset prices, and I'm not trying to say that this time it's different where valuations don't matter per se. What I'm saying is right now the Fed is blowing a bubble and they're still, they're not deflating it yet. It's not even, there's no signs of it deflating. So let's go into it. Boom, boom, boom. I just wanted to see how the markets open, and they're opening basically holding on to their gains so far. I'm going to keep track of whether or not they're able to hold on to those gains or not. We'll see. I don't know who's reporting after the bell today, or if anyone, but I am obviously aware of what's going on, as I always am, what's going on fundamentally, but focused in on the charts. Watching here the Euro-US dollar, it looks like it's extending upwards over here, coming now, approaching, challenging last week's high. Looks good. Are we going to see dollar weakness across the board? Australian dollar, US dollar. By the way, people are positioned long the euro versus the US dollar right now, but people are still short the Australian dollar versus the US dollar. That might mean that this actually has a lot more room to go over here to the upside. And again, it's a question of, is this where you want to focus your attention, on the Australian dollar versus the US dollar, if you're going to continue to see dollar weakness? I mean, if you're looking for further dollar weakness, then you're looking probably, as we've been focused and positioned ourselves, number one, Bitcoin, number two, gold, right? And when I say gold, I mean all precious metals. I know that, or I believe that silver is going to outperform for an extended period of time, right? Nevertheless, I love my gold, right? So, that's one way to position versus a weak dollar. Gold, which is outperforming all other fiat at all-time highs. It's not trading at an all-time high versus the US dollar, but it's certainly getting close to that now. So gold has, and even with that strong dollar we've seen this past year, at that point, gold was also appreciating under that circumstance as well. So a core gold position remains to be important. And then Bitcoin, don't even get me started, because that hasn't gotten started yet. Once that does, I'll start annoying you all about Bitcoin, because I've been positioning everyone in there. So Australian dollar, pull back into support over here. Entry, right? Two possible opportunities for entries that are in play and have been on the Australian dollar, US dollar. Australian dollar, Canadian dollar. Interesting that after breaking above that resistance, testing as support, it just continues to be. I tend to stay away. And I did over here, and then you had that huge move up. Is another huge move up in the cards over here as this consolidates. The thing is, it's hard. It's difficult for me to keep tracking it and following it because it doesn't go anywhere for too long. So not my cup of tea, but my cup of tea is matcha. And right now I'm going to take my first sip of the live stream. All right. Australian dollar, Japanese yen. Again, here was the last test of the support. I have this trend line over here, right? That's as a guide, right? And I noticed as the price came into there, but we talked to each other through it, and that was you're buying off support over here. This is not only now come off of that buy entry, but is now resuming past this other piece of resistance. That looks pretty nice over there. By the way, let me just check out at the same time the euro Japanese yen, and that is like a save and a butte. I don't know if anyone plays hockey or not or follows hockey, but that was after this breakdown of the channel, right? I remember someone in the Telegram group, I believe it was Wes, tracking that, and I was like, great that you're able to see that, and we expect it to break down, but at the same time, this continues to be an uptrend, looking for that buyback into support. In this case, this looked nothing more than the pullback, consolidation, pullback, getting ready, next leg up. That looks good also. Japanese yen looking weak. Looks like it's the weakest instrument on the day, huh? And the strongest, it's not the dollar, it's the Japanese yen. So what does that mean for the US dollar, Japanese yen? Miguel, see, this is a good question. That's what he's asking if you could trade Forex on TD Ameritrade. And if you ever, isn't it very extraordinarily difficult to trade anything through TD Ameritrade? I mean, it's the worst user experience ever, right? Try Oanda, in my opinion. They're a fantastic broker over there, Miguel, in the US. Or maybe you could do it. Wes is saying that it has the ability to do it. But I've tried placing orders through there. It's very difficult. It's very difficult. It's very difficult. US dollar, Japanese yen. Consolidating, and until we break this green line down here, no, that's not fair, right? Because if we broke below 106 at that point, forget about it. Or to the upside over here, but there's no edge whatsoever. Just watch those two currencies continue to battle out until on a bigger time frame, an important technical level breaks. Then it could be time to get involved for swing trades again. All right. Where else are we looking? Let's take a look at the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. This is pulled back into an area of interest. This is resuming off support over here. There's a lot of opportunity out there. Will confirming that he enjoys on. I mean, it's pretty cool that you could connect also Ananda outside of Europe, everywhere else to TradingView and trade directly off of it. The ability to trade a smaller account with perfect risk per trade is why Alanda is just absolutely fantastic. Looking for opportunity, the Euro Swiss franc over here is blown through this resistance over there. Look at this. It has really blown through that. Someone pointed out to me today, they were tracking this descending wedge that we broke out through, right? You can see that descending wedge pattern. And they're asking, is this one of those times where you get a breakout that just gets away from you? Because we talk about that 95% of the time, you get a breakout and then price resumes down to test that breakout, to test that broken support or resistance, confirm it as new support or resistance, and resume out of it. And so looking at this trade, I mean, number one, if you thought we're in an uptrend over here, there's a very clear entry. If you saw this descending wedge also, right? If you were following this descending wedge, you're aware of this trend line support. And as the trend line support and horizontal support came in to the same location over here, and you have this confluence over here, and then as price resumes off, I mean, that's your entry right there, buying off support in an uptrend, right? And then you break out of the wedge. You broke through. This is an easy trade once you broke through this resistance. That doesn't happen more often than not. But right now, what you're looking for and will happen is for the pullback and consolidation here on the Euro Swiss franc. It will happen. Either you're going to get a quick pullback to test that broken resistance as support, and then you're going to see the resumption up, or you're going to see this continue to rise a little bit, right? And then eventually it's going to pull back, consolidate until it makes, if it goes up, another leg up, right? That's what you're looking for, and it's going to happen. The odds of it going straight up to the next resistance that far away are just very small. Sure, it could happen. Sure, 5% of the time, you will not be able to take the breakout itself will get away from you. Are we in a simulation? MH is asking everyone if we're in a simulation. So looking here at the S&P, seeing them starting here towards the resistance, starting to consolidate a little perhaps. We'll see. Market's got a little bit over its head. Tuesday, Wednesday, right? Thursday, that's when we're looking for a big move. Let's see what happens. It looks like there are some pretty nice opportunities as there continue to be across the board. I like seeing everyone starting, to be positioned well. I like seeing that and hearing that a lot. Um, I mean, not yet, Noah, right? Or maybe you're watching stocks or something. But all right. So Canadian dollar, Japanese yen. Look, just you could see the beautiful pullback into the support, and now resuming upwards. U.S. dollar, Canadian dollar. We're expecting the Canadian dollar, even though it doesn't make any sense, to outperform the dollar so long as this weaker dollar environment continues. And, it's just what it is, what it is. I just want to get everyone on the right side of the market. What about the US dollar, Swiss franc? What about the US dollar, Swiss franc? Let's look at this on a higher time frame just to get a really clearer picture over here. I mean, it truly appears as if it's getting ready to roll over here and break this support over here at 0.93845. What happens, if we break that? This looks like it's shaping up to test out the March crisis lows. I could see the Swiss franc doing that, right? And those lows also go back to January. It looks like that's where we're headed. I don't see a strong dollar environment, so I don't know. Interesting. Yeah, that becomes interesting on a more of a position trader's time frame, I think. I mean, Omar, we'll look at specifically the S&P closely later this afternoon, and we'll look at like strong technical levels because right now is where this was our profit. This is what's our take profit area. Should you be holding a position right now or taking profit? Are you holding a position hoping that we spike through? I mean, I'm not trying to advise anyone on what to do. You just have to look at what's happening. This is the area that we're targeting. We're here now, right? If we get a breakout above this resistance, then, again, sometimes breakouts get away from you, but most of the time we're going to get a pullback. And that's the time above this resistance here, above the June highs, right? Then what are we targeting next, right? Are we targeting somewhere around, call it 33? Yeah, right. That will be the next target, right? And so yeah, that's my opinion. It's all in your time frame. Yeah, I mean, right? But if you don't have by the end of this week, no. 18 months from now, you know, 18 months from now. But what are you thinking about? So let's see what else is going on with the New Zealand dollar, US dollar, by the way. It just seems, it seems the Australian dollar definitely leads to the upside and New Zealand dollar leads to the downside. We are leaning towards the upside right now, right? How's the Australian dollar? Yeah, you can see the Australian dollar outperforming twice as much the New Zealand dollar as risk is making that move to the upside. New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen coming into this area here of resistance, right? So there you go. All right, watch this. Here's the Australian dollar, Japanese yen, right? Above this last resistance right now. And then you got the New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen, and it's below its last resistance. If we have turnaround Tuesday and we see a big, if we see a big move into risk off, which we have not seen in a while, if we saw a big move into risk off, probably want to be looking to the New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen to the downside. Is this into resistance where you could be looking to possibly sell this? Let me pull back, zoom out here. we'll take a look, and, is that a downtrend where I could be selling this resistance over here? 100%, of course, right? So again, New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen is pretty much in play, and that might be the trade. That might be the trade to lean into if we see some type of reversal in the markets. Dale, if you don't have an edge, in the description below is a link to my course. It's not only a course. It provides the strategy, provides the plan. It gives you the edge. But that's good, not to trade without an edge. And that's the thing, is you can invest as much time as you need into this craft before you start trading real money, because unless you have an edge and unless you know what you're doing and you're trading real money, don't think of that as the cost of education, right? Don't think that you trade on a demo, open up a demo, learn to make money on a demo first, then move over to live money. If you think that it's different trading under a live account, I'd rather trade a small live account than a demo, that's not true at all. It's not that the demo removes the emotions. It's that once you have an edge and a strategy, that removes the emotions. Once you see and learn how to make profit, that's what moves. Yeah, technical analysis gives you an edge for sure. Yeah, I do use I look at the market. Following price, which is the only indicator that's not lagging, is price, right? So I follow price, and then I follow the structure that the market makes, which is support and resistance levels, right? And that's how I trade off of it. I do use my true trend, right, indicator, which you could just go up there and search true trend. There you go. You got true trend, Conquer Trading Investing. And yeah, and this indicator is awesome, but I prefer price at the end of the day. This indicator has taught me how to view price easier, but after using, this indicator taught me how to view the structure of the market. But once you learn that, you don't need the indicator, because price is doing that around support and resistance. But there's many uses. I don't think I've uploaded. We did a nice video. Yeah, we have a nice video on a really detailed explanation that we did during one of the live training sessions. Murray, thanks for being here with us. All right, what else is out there today? Euro Japanese yen is making a big move, outperforming today. You're seeing that strength in the euro and weakness in the Japanese yen. It's definitely materializing on the Euro Japanese yen today, right? You could see that euro continuing that breakout. Is that a trend you could get behind right now? Do you expect, you do have the ECB on Friday. You have on Thursday. You have the ECB on Thursday, no question about it, right? So that's a big risk event for the euro. But right now, there's a lot of time between now and Thursday, and it looks like we're getting ready to break above this trend line, testing last week's highs. Yeah. So Euro Japanese yen, if we're going to see that further, we talked about if we see risk off come into the market, why the New Zealand dollar Japanese yen looks like, as it's lagging, coming into resistance and this big trend line resistance as well, that looks like the place to lean in to the short side. But the Euro Japanese yen over here, as the euro technically is breaking out over here, and we're seeing a weak Japanese yen, could we see further upside? Will you see this broken resistance today confirmed as support, or perhaps will you see this trend line over here that was broken and pierced through twice strongly now? It's not very relevant because it was a very small pattern over there, right? Actually, I'm going to erase it right now. I'm not focused on that. I'm focused on this horizontal support at 121.37. And the next thing I'm looking for is for price to come back in there and then see if it confirms that as support, resumes off for the entry, because breaking through this last week's highs over here, that opens up the top side over here on the Euro Japanese yen. I have this area to focus in on just because I wanted something, but really we're talking about a target, almost around the whole number of 124, right? A little bit lower than that, perhaps. So those seem like two good pairs to focus in on this week. All right. US dollar, Mexican peso. We got actually see I'm pausing here for a second. It's the I saw a correlation breaking also between the equity markets and the US dollar Mexican peso that I was acutely aware of, as well as you were seeing the equity markets trading up 0.5% today, but you're also seeing the dollar on a weak dollar day trading up versus the peso. I have to observe all market behavior that's like outside of the norm and just kind of make that mental note of it, right? Until it becomes something that makes more sense and is a pattern. But I see it happening. Wow, Joan. That's a lot of. I wasn't ignoring you by any means or anything like that. You know. So I am sorry about that, but that does become spam, right? When that's not, you know. What's going on out the markets maintaining and holding on to their gains over there. Tesla, an animal out of the gate this morning, as I'm sure even Amazon is trading at 32. Wow. I didn't expect that. Did anyone of you expect that when we were back in the height of the pandemic? Let's call it right over here at the low, right in March. Wow. 100% return on Amazon. Wow. That's pretty impressive. Uh wow. Right? I wish I were a part of that. I'll tell you that much. So we got PA had is saying that he's noticing a positive correlation between the euro US dollar and S&P 500. I mean, I think that might be a dollar story as you're seeing the equity markets rising and you're seeing that dollar come off. I'm not trying to the US is nothing like Venezuela, first of all. But in Venezuela, as you saw the economy just come to a grinding halt, Venezuela was once the richest country in the world not too long ago, right? Well, what was it I don't know if I think it was in the 80s. I don't know if it was 30 or 40 years ago. Venezuela was the richest country in the world. Look at it today, right? The destruction of an economy. Could it happen in the US? Sure, it could happen. I don't think it's going to, but sure, it could happen, right? But either which way, as the economy, which we're seeing the economy in the US under pressure, started to really, really come to a halt in Venezuela, the currency went, devalued. You're seeing the dollar weaken a little, but you are seeing the equity markets rise. You could see definitely further dollar weakness, and definitely you can see further rise in the equity markets. I don't think that you could compare the current situation that we're in now to anything else. It's definitely not 1929, because in 1929, what they were doing was tightening. They were taking money out of the economy. Right now, they're easing. It's the complete opposite, right? In 1929, you did have people at work and you had people free flowing. Right now, we do not have that. We actually have a suppression of movement and or business. Two big factors that are very different. Is this the dot-com bubble? Are we seeing anything? Well, the Fed wasn't easing. The Fed was easing in the fact that rates were low, but the Fed wasn't easing as far as QE. That didn't start to 2008. This is nothing like 2008 either. And you saw the difference in gold, by the way, where during the crisis, gold traded off 15%. Where in 2008 during that crisis, gold traded off 30%. Going forward, you have to imagine going forward. Not saying that the bull market, which hasn't started yet. I mean, it started all the way back, right, when gold was trading, when gold broke out of this trend line. That's really when the bull market started. This thing hasn't broken out to new all-time highs yet, and I do believe it will. But will the bull market in gold come to an end? I don't know. Precious metals bull market ended 3 years after QE started last time. This time, does it end 18 months after? we're going to find out. We'll keep our eye on it, but that's a pretty far time away. Boom, 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 boom. All right, let's take a look at the pound Japanese yen. I don't even know, Joan, if you're still with us or not, but let's take a look at it because we all need to take a look at it. Trying to get a view on Thomas. Well, this is Thomas. This is a great question. I'm glad that Model 3 said something about that. The opportunity of the decade right now, in my opinion, I've strongly laid out this argument and why. And before it happened, gave everyone ample opportunity. But that is going to be Bitcoin over the next 18 months. That was the trade of last decade. I foresee it being for sure the trade of this decade as well. This is the environment Bitcoin was built for. We're having a loss of trust and functioning of this dollar debt based system that there's no alternative to, and Bitcoin is not the alternative. Bitcoin is just a lifeboat in this environment that we're in. So, and as far as stocks, I mean, again, I know it sounds crazy. I know valuations are approaching where they were back in 2000. But have you looked at what the price action was back in the dot-com bubble? What happened between 2019? I mean, 1999 and 2000. Let me show you really quickly just to give you some type of perspective that even though we are in a bubble, where does this go back to? This only goes back to June. Let me pull up the SPY. There you go. Here we go. This is 1999. Oh my goodness. This was this pullback over here. This pullback over here of 20%, right? We just saw a pullback of 30%. After that pullback, valuations over here in July of 98 were already inflated, right? You saw that 20% pullback, and then price went on for the next 2 years. For the next 2 years, price went explosive. We just pulled back 30%, right? And if price goes on to make new higher highs as they're inflating asset prices, valuations, I'm not trying to say this time's different. I'm just trying to say this time is this time once again that they're blowing a bubble, and that bubble could be blown far greater than anyone seems to believe. If you think you missed out on stock, I don't think so. And Thomas, that again, if we roll over here, right? If all of a sudden by the end of this week we're trading below 30, we're going to be bears, right? And we're going to be bears. Once we broke that blue trend line, we'd be like, we're super cautious now, right? And then we'd be really watching this support like hawks. But right now it looks like that we're approaching and testing the resistance from the June highs. We're going the other direction right now. And there's more QE to come. There's more stimulus to come. There's more stimulus to come soon. We're in the middle of July right now. In a couple of weeks, the Congress comes back to work. We are looking at new stimulus checks passed within those first couple of weeks. I believe outside of the risk of that is it becomes a political issue, right? There's an election coming up, so we could have lots of political issues coming up. Euro, Australian dollar, let's look at it as it continues. We're seeing that euro strengthening over here. We're seeing technically that break of the trend line failed over here, and now it's broken out again, and now working back above this resistance. Does it seem like the most attractive trade to me? No. Would I rather if I believe in a strong euro, what do you prefer trading against? The Australian dollar, which is holding up pretty well in this risk environment, or are you looking at perhaps trading that against the Japanese yen, which has been very weak in this environment, or the US dollar, which also is weak and breaking out technically very nice. Euro, against the pound also here, coming up into this resistance. Let's go ahead. Traders were tracking this perhaps in head and shoulders over here, right? There was the break of the neckline, and now we're challenging that neckline again. That's resistance. Break above, and you never came to your target on the head and shoulders. That would be a failure, right? That would be a failure of a pattern, in my opinion. But let's see what happens. Does that seem like the most interesting to trade right now? I don't know. There must be some clean setups out there. Like this. Here's the pound Canadian dollar. Look how that came into that resistance over here and has been rejected. Canadian dollar. Again, we looked at the U.S. dollar, Canadian dollar, and we're saying, even though, again, the Canadian economy doesn't look like the place that you want to be investing, we could see further gains against the dollar also coming from not only the Canadian dollar, the Mexican peso. No, I don't counter. I'm not looking to sell at all. We're not looking to sell at all. It's not the time to be playing the downside of the market. And yeah, you continue to look to buy pullbacks into support, right? Just because we're coming into resistance. Hopefully this thing breaks through this resistance without even pausing. Hopefully it breaks through the resistance without pausing. Because that would be nice for anyone holding long. Again, you've reached the take profit area. Now we'll be looking at getting into further longs. If we break above this resistance, or we pull back into the 3120 area and or supports down below, that's what we're looking for the S&P 500. We'll see. Don't get suckered in really right now, in my opinion. What kind of link are you looking to share, Brian? Yep. So Philip, you could use, depending on what data feed you use, you'll have different opening and closing times and therefore charts. There is no advantage to any feed that I know of where I would be suggesting to all of you that you should trade this particular feed. And if there was one, I would let you know. And not that I think ICE is that feed. I just use the charts. Listen, I am old school, but we used to have different problems. We didn't really have too much charting back in 2003, right? Oanda back then still had a really good Java platform. But you used to use different brokers with different data feeds and charting platforms. I used like profitchart.net back then, another Java platform. And then depending on what broker I was trading with, I would be placing trades on that broker. I still you just trade what's on the chart. It doesn't matter what opening and closing you're using or anything like that. Yep. So the support and resistance are the same though, Philip. Boom, boom, boom. What do we have in here? We've been live here for 1 hour. I think we took a solid look across all markets. And more important than that, I feel like people are really, really on the right side of the trades. So that is really encouraging for me. Anything else that we want to look at over here this morning together? Thank you. God bless you too. That's beautiful. Thank you very much for saying that. Thank you. Yeah, bonds is not my thing. It's just not my thing. Pound Aussie, let's do it. Heath, let's look at the pound Australian dollar, right? So by the way, I see immediately this line that I have. Probably the last time I look at this pair was probably sometime back in June, right? And I had that line over there. It seems to me now, as I'm looking at where the last resistance was, and I could see, all right, that this resistance up there and that support, that the market's really focused on a better area than I had over down here with that line, in my opinion. So let me bring this one down, actually. Let's bring that one down over there. And a clear rejection over there in a strong downtrend, right? You have the nice rejection off of that resistance. How do you get into this trade now if you're not into this trade and you do want to get short? I mean, you're just waiting for the next pullback. And as long as this resistance holds over here and you don't make a higher high, swing high than this high, that continues to be looking to challenge down over here towards the recent lows, and looks like that it has the potential to make another leg down. I mean, it makes sense if we continue risk off to see the Australian dollar continue to outperform. Definitely seeing a stronger euro than the Australian dollar in this environment, but Australian dollar continues to outperform against the Japanese yen. It continues to outperform versus the dollar here versus the pound. So, euro strong, Australian dollar strong, right? So that's why you're not really interested in taking that long euro versus the Australian dollar. But this looks good over here. This continues to look good. If you break this resistance to the upside and now you're making, continue to make higher. Look, if you're making look one, here's a higher low. And if you put in another higher low here and then make a higher swing high, then at that point, where's your next resistance? It's all the way up here. You're looking all the way up here at 1.84 before you start looking to sell another resistance, right? But right here, this is an entry resuming downwards. Looks good. So how much the pound reacts to the forthcoming? We saw a lot of volatility originally, going back last year on the pound. And that all seems to settle in. And it really, I think the market understands that it's going to come down to the last minute here at the end of the year to whether or not we find out whether or not the pound is leaving with or is leaving with or without a deal. And, probably the market's leaning towards right now that there will be some type of mutual deal, an agreement in place. I think that actually benefits the euro initially. And if there were to be a hard exit, if they were to leave without a deal, I think that would actually benefit the pound the most. That's when you would see a sharp appreciation in the pound. Right now, the market's pricing in that the UK leaves, I think, with the deal, and I think that's favorable towards the euro at this point. That's my opinion. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, once they leave, it sets a precedent. It sets a precedent for the rest of the euro, that you could leave legally. It makes it more attractive. They don't want them to leave. So I don't know. I don't trust any politicians. That's for sure. Would I say gold is breaking out of a bull flag structure? Don't have the 8-hour. Max, there is a tutorial on how to get the it's fine if you could trade the 1 or 4 hour, but you're going to have a much harder time, in my opinion. You're going to have a much harder time because when you get down to lower time frames, there's a lot more false signals, market chop. It's a lot harder. You think that it's a lot more difficult to trade. But do I see any type of bull flag here on the 4 hour? I don't see it on the 4 hour. I'll look on the 1 hour. Yeah, I wouldn't consider that a bull flag. A bull flag, that was just a down price bar. I don't see anything going on over there right now. If you don't have the 8-hour, it is definitely worth the upgrade. And as well as you could do it for free on MetaTrader 4. There's on the playlist, on the Forex playlist, there is a video that explains how to do that. Yeah, Kips has been all over Palladium for a long time. So Juan, that's an interesting question. That's not really something that we normally talk about. There is a video on Real Vision. I think that if you just, Juan, if you search uh, Real Vision Jack Ma, there's a video you could see about a this billionaire from China who's giving his opinion on Jack Ma and what's going to happen. Basically, the Chinese have taken away Alibaba from Jack Ma, and they did that because of Alipay. Alipay is like what Libra for Facebook would be if Libra were allowed to launch and had gained a significant market share. But Alipay's market share in China is enormous, and it got too big. They took that back, and then in that interview, it's speculated that Jack Ma, you should watch the interview if you're interested in that. I'm not going to tell everyone what it says about what will happen to Jack Ma a year from now. So SPX downtrend from the high. Thanks for taking the time. But you pulled up the silver chart, not gold. Oh, I didn't even. Same thing though. Oh, you're right. I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry. It's not the same thing at all. That's 100% a bull flag. Absolutely. On the 4 hour. Very nice. Thanks for pointing that out. Sorry about pulling up the silver over there. Tesla is going crazy. Tesla is going crazy. Thanks, Max. Sorry about that. A little bit of confusion. So that's the theme of the day. I'm just really, we'll put it this way. If you're on the right side of the market and have been now from following our analysis and you haven't yet hit that thumbs up, please right now just go ahead and hit that thumbs up. Let me know. It's nice to see all the comments and all the time. I'm definitely aware of what everyone's up to. It's nice to see and know and see. A couple of people need more work, but the group as a whole is doing really well. I'm really excited about that. That's it's pretty extraordinary if you sit back and think about that for a second, because contrary to what you've been taught, there's nothing easy about the markets, right? So I think that's it for today. I'm going to go kiss the kids because it's kind of summer here. And looking forward to a few things. I'm looking forward to tomorrow, the Telegram, the CTM group, those in the course. We have a private training session at 10:15 tomorrow morning, right? So we'll make tomorrow's live stream here in the morning, which will be about 1 hour. Really, really good. It's going to be fast paced. We're going to be looking at the markets and seeing what's going on. And then also today I'll be getting out lots of videos on a weekly recap for looking at, and I do look at them all. I think, but by going over some videos of several different, it helps everyone no matter what level you're at. So we'll be focused in on that. Good to see you all today. I can't tell you this morning, Monday morning, sitting in as I saw you all getting into the chat this morning. Good feeling to be with you all. So, yeah, have a beautiful day, and I'll talk to you later. We're gonna go out with some music again because I prefer it that way. When's Bitcoin gonna join the party here? I'm continually looking for the downside of Bitcoin here, because if it's having trouble breaking up, I want to be watching that it doesn't break down.